So, so that's the other thing about the NSA. They teach their people to think like a crazy person. They don't teach logic at all. Um, Now, in 2011, um, the NSA came to me in the desert in Niland, California, and I worked out a plan to get Osama bin Laden. I wanted to get him alive because I wanted him to be able to say the truth about what happened on 9/11. But so I came up with the plan to get him, and it was the guy who I call John Alexander. It was his plan to kill him. So that's what they did. I did. He said they would get him alive, and even GRR wanted to get him alive because he wanted to question him. Um, but but of course they couldn't. They couldn't do that. So right, just for that one thing, I think that they should be helping me rather than hurting me and infringing on my rights as a citizen of this country. And the reason why they don't want me free is because there is that corrupt element in the intelligence community, and they don't want me to expose it. So I have come up with the plans. Anytime the intelligence community can't think of a plan for something, they have been coming to me since, well, since I ended the Cuban Missile Crisis without a war. They wanted war in Russia. The military wanted war, and I got us out of that without a war. And I have a feeling that that is still why I am a prisoner of the NSA. Now think about it. If you have homing devices on your car, and every inch of your car, and your car has microphones in it, and you have a homing device in your bowel that you can't take out without tearing your bowel, and they can hear everything because there's mics everywhere and cameras everywhere, but inside my body. So if I try to go anywhere, they're gonna know it. Like I was trying to go and get paid for some of the work that I had done earlier in my life, and they stopped that. And they also strung George Lucas along while I was in American Graffiti, and I did get nominated for an Academy Award. I was Debbie. Um, and so George Lucas proposed the last day of shooting, and I accepted. And but for the last 8 years, Georgia was trying to get President Obama to get me free, which he would have been able to do, and so I could go and live with him. And every time I got close to where, so that I was close enough that George could actually see me, they had erased his memory of me, and I didn't look the same to him. But they can do that because, like me personally, I have no idea what I look like. I a kind of a sketchy idea, but they can make it so that you don't know things that you do know. They can erase your memory, they can erase part of your memory. And what they did to GRR is they erased his memory and then put in another memory, that to think that he hated me when I met him, when we worked on the Bin Laden plan, which was basically me telling them what to do. He proposed. So to get him from 2011 to now, no, to when President Obama was in office, and then up until Trump won the presidency, he was instrumental in keeping us apart, apart from George Lucas, which is driving George crazy, is driving me crazy, of course. We're both interested in science and art, which is a real odd combination. And we had some really good conversations while we were filming American Graffiti, and it would be wonderful to get back to him after 40 years. 40 years. Yeah, a little over 40 years. The intelligence community's been keeping us apart. So, like, whenever there's a hostage plan or any kind of a real heavy-duty CIA type plan, that's when I would get called in. I came up with Star Wars, not the movie, the defense system, and I'm not even going to talk about it because they're not even using it. It's there's so many things that the military is doing that is detrimental to the whole world. And also what I can't understand is how can people want to stop me from getting world peace? They want war. They want war. And this 1% of the country that wants war is instrumental in stopping me and keeping up the terror attacks and on and on and on. And I don't... They get... Once you're in the military, you are always in the military. So they just say, well, we have to keep her prisoner. And everybody says, ooh, okay, alrighty, we'll keep her prisoner. Oh, we want Trump to be president. Oh, okay, we'll fix the votes. All right. And nobody thinks. Since they were taught to think like a crazy person, they don't think logically. Or they would want me to be free because they would want world peace. I mean, when I came up with the word anti-war, and believe you me, there was no word before I came up with that. I got such grief about that word. Such grief. I had my teachers were scolding me and don't use that word and it'll get you killed and all this stuff. And the priests in the church were on my case about it. And then I find out there's people who think that anti-war is anti-American. And I think that America would be greater without war, without being in constant war. We have an economy, and so same with Jerusalem, we have an economy that is based on war. And we can refocus that money. It's not like we won't spend the money. We'll find other ways to spend that money. And a peacetime army can only be good for the country. All this turmoil and killing young black men, this is all because they wouldn't be able to get away with that if I were allowed to be free. And the world would be a different place. It would have been a different place. There are many junctures along my life that the world would have been a better place if I had been allowed to be free. And at this point, all they would have to do, is take my homing device out of me and the microphone out of me, because that is, now it's me peeing that's making it onto the internet, and Trump watches that. You know, this is the world we're living in, because everybody who once was in the military continues to work for the military. And what nobody seems to understand is, by fixing the votes and getting who you want as president and not who the people voted for, is undemocratic. That is anti-American. So anti-war is not anti-American. Anti-free voting system, making sure that the vote is not corrupt, that is, it's anti-American to fix the vote, because then it's not a democracy. Then it's whoever you want, they want in power, because they know that he'll keep the war going for another 8 years if he's but he'll be reelected, because, he's just, I guess he got about 10% of the vote. I've been saying 5%, but he probably got 10, and now he's probably in negative numbers. He would get maybe 2% of the vote, maybe 1, but because now people are finding out. See, that's the other thing that the NSA did, was I wrote up all these things about Donald Trump and my meeting with him, and the NSA took it down out of everything, and they intercept my phone calls. Evidently, the New York Times was going to run my letter. It was like a 20-page letter, and they were going to run the whole thing. They were going to front page it, and when they called to get confirmation, the NSA intercepted my phone call and told them not to run it. That they were in the middle of an investigation, and if they ran that, then it would screw up their investigation, which is what they told me. And since it was President Obama telling me that, I bought it. But now, look, all he told me, the reason why he wanted me to not go against Trump, was he wanted Trump in power. He wants World War III. Now, I think he got brainwashed. I think he must have gotten brainwashed. Or he's just the best actor. He deserves all kinds of acting accolades, because he's not what he appears to be. And so I'm thinking, and as you are probably saying, oh no, now she's gone too far. But I was thinking, well, if he wants, there must be a reason, and of course he said he couldn't tell me, but the reason was because he wanted World War III. And so that the freedom of speech only goes so far. If you try to stop us from going to war, which has been my thing since freshman in high school, so I was like 13. So for 50 years. So luckily I have kept us from going into World War III a few times. And that should do it for the military. I have done so many things for the military. I've helped them design weapons that would be so much less destructive, and it would be able to pinpoint exactly who you wanted, and you would only get those people. And if they would only use that, they would still have the buildings would still be standing. So I mean, like, it sounds counterintuitive that somebody who is pro-peace designs weapons, but I do it because, well, if you're going to have a war, you might as well do it right, and you shouldn't be blowing up people's homes. These people are people. You know, it's not right. It's not right to just, blow up their homes and kill civilians. That's not war. Uh, and there is a better way to do it. They just That's another reason why they don't want me to be free, because you would find out that all this was unnecessary in more ways than one. So just, the whole thing that people recognize me from that one video. There's been so many other things that I have done in my life that are really good things. And I wish that people would recognize me for that instead of, you know, it's just, anyway. All right. God bless. Peace. That's mine. Peace symbol. Peace. Think peace. Rise up.